77% of developers are scared that AI will take their job. I was one of that 77%, and I did a lot of research, and then I realized there is a pattern in our industry whenever this technological shift happened, which nobody is talking about. So before going there, let's talk about the fear, right? So according to a Stack Overflow survey, 77% of developers are really scared or some way worried that AI might take their job. And this fear, if you see, is genuine because right now, if you see AI system are advancing quite fast. GitHub Copilot can write your code, or Claude is on another level. It can do debugging for you. And every day, I will say every day, there are news coming. Cloud is doing design, or Cloud is into security. So technically, they are touching every space. And also, there are a big marketing budget involved here. There are billions and billions of dollars of investment happening here to make people little fearful because yeah, that's what sell things. If you see from 2020 to 2021, CEOs are coming on Twitter, and every 6 months they are saying software engineering job will be dead in next 6 months. And it has been 4 or 5 years, and we are still here doing good, I guess, right? So there are a lot of in the mainstream media, there is a lot of fear, there is a lot of anticipation what will happen, and everyone is saying like software engineers are going to be jobless. But one thing which no one is talking about, right? They are saying like your productivity has increased by like this percentage, but no one is talking about that 4x increase in productivity doesn't mean that you need 4x less engineer. Because what happened in generic, if someone is doing work faster, we get 4x more work, right? Our scope is increasing, we get 4x more scope. So that's no one is talking about. And one more fact, till now there is no senior level layoff happening in like cut happening in the FANG. Yes, there are layoff, that's for a different reason. There are hiring slowdown on junior side, which is little worried, and which is true. But senior engineers are getting more and more valuable, right? So let's talk about the evolution of tech role. If we want to understand like what is happening, we should understand what happened in the past, right? So 1990s or before that, there was like a silo era, which means there were a very specific specialized people. Like if you remember, there was role named DBA, like database admin. They just manage database, and when I say database, they do a backing up of database. They kind of making sure it's running fine, software update, and also designing it, bunch of stuff. And same way we have like a front end engineer, back end engineer. We have a like QA, and multiple others role was there, and that was needed because that time our industry was very new, very complex. Technology was changing, no one knows anything, there was nothing out there. So everyone need to build everything from scratch, so we need these specialized people, right? But what happened later? So around 2000s, open source and the web came. So that was like, at that time it was a game changing. So now the when web came, there is like a new era. So now you need to build like web apps. Software was no longer like just on the system, so it's more web app or websites. Like and if you like the dot-com boom and all those era, like where the big company like Amazon, Google, what we're seeing was like product of that era. So there's a big grace in the web. And also this open source, what happening is like now people can build software, and people can basically people can build like a common softwares or the complex software, and they can share. And since it was open, anyone can reuse it. So now what will happen is, rather than writing separate software, people can reuse software, and that give little bit less burden. So now with when web came, so now DBA suddenly need to know about the HTTP also, because our scope increase. We need to know more about, because everyone was moving into that platform, right? And after that, in 2005 era, like around that 2006 when AWS launched, then everything changed again. Like the cloud came, and the cloud was like amazing. Now you don't need to buy your own server, host it into your premises. You can just ask AWS, sign up there, and you can make it. And they are managing um, infra better because they are doing it at a scale, right? So again, there was a lot of people who were doing this job of managing infra and premises. Suddenly, like network engineers, or suddenly they are kind of start worrying that their job is at risk. But they were wrong. Most of them either they joined like big cloud because they were having the experience of managing this like specific thing, so they joined that, or most of them become architect because they were having a very specialized skill which can use as an architect. But during the time when this thing was changing, obviously there was an uncertainty and people are worried. So if you see after the cloud what happening is, so now if you see it's become cheaper. So we can reuse the software from open source, we can host our infra just online. So new thing came is a full stack engineer, like a person who can manage front end, who can manage back end, who can manage infra. Those are in the demands, and who can also develop the web app. So that time like full stack become in demand. So if you see the pattern what is happening, our scope is getting increased. So if there is a pyramid, we are getting a little bit up and utilizing all the scopes. So after the full stack, if we move forward, there's like a platform and SRE things came, where like when the Docker came, Kubernetes came, and all those like standard way of creating infra. So we got new people, new jobs, which was also managing infrastructures part. So if you see the actual job where where like managing infra on premises, that change, that kind of vanish. But at the same time, we got a new way of job, and which is like a platform in SRE, which was not there before, right? 2025, like this came the orchestration era. So here, like what will happen is you need to be go little up, and since code is cheap, what will be the focus will be to on architecture. So you can manage things, you can see everything on top, and you can manage agents, you can manage LLMs. So this is called like new orchestration era. So if we can see, it's the same shift happening but in a different era. So right now writing architecture, writing code is like cheap because AI can do it. But now it came to system design. So if you see in 2025 alone, around 84% of value came from system design, and only the remaining 16% came from writing code, right? So now how these things are changing. So before, if you see, like let me summarize it, there was like a narrow specialization. So you need to be very specific about your job, like you need to be DBA or network engineers or like QA, and you need to be perfect in those jobs. And then in the middle became like integrated ownership, so which will call like full stack era, where we need to know front end, back end, and QA, infra, everything. That's called full stack ownership or full stack engineer era. Now what next? So next is coming full system architect. So now every engineers will own your entire infrastructure or entire architecture, and every engineers will be kind of a full system architect, right? So this is like where the shift is going. Let's talk about the evolution of AI model, because that's important to understand how these things is like evolving and how these things change, right? So if you see, AI is not new. AI is from there. If you see 2011, we have Siri, we have Alexa. Google Translate was there from like 2006, right? So there is nothing special. So what changed now? Why AI is suddenly so much into hype? So the things change. Now AI, the architecture behind AI becomes so simple that so that anyone can build AI into their local. So now, previously there was AI, but that was very much controlled with a big organization like Google, Amazon, or like only Apple, they were doing it. But now the infrastructures, the model become available, so that now anyone can build it. So that's why it is so much into the hype. So let's understand like how these things evolve. So in 2017, there was like transformer paper. It was basically paper on like how to do like translation. So people ignore it, but Google suddenly like silently build on top of this architecture, and Google Translate quietly improve, and they kind of win in that era. Next is a scaling race. So we already have a model. So the thing was, it was working small. So what happening is we start putting it into the bigger infrastructure, so that it can consume it can basically train on like huge chunk of data. It can take multiple tokens, and it can do like better prediction. So in that case, like chat gpt 3 become like adapted with the co-pilots, and that was the news. And the most important was like when GPT 3.5 become chat gpt. I think that's where general people start talking about AI, because there was so marketing hype and it was really good. So after the scaling race started, so one more important thing happening in this model era, which was like 2023, fine tuning and like open source. So if you see like at that time, Llama Lake, like the Facebook model. So now what happening is uh, people are able to install that model into their local system. Like people start installing on their Mac Mini, and they are there. They started doing some amazing things. Like, and if you see open source model like DeepSeek, or there are multiples in the China, and people started installing on their local, and start doing building amazing things from that. So that was like one of also very turning point, where now it models and the bigger things which was only accessible to big corporate previously, now anyone can work it. And suddenly like Hugging Face came, which was like GitHub for models, and people start building things, putting there, and more and more collaboration effort just like happening with the open source. This was kind of era which open source for AI models came, right? So after that, in 2024, one more amazing things happened, and which was like we standardized the tools uses. And when I say what is tools, tools are nothing but like a function which a model can call. So if you see before that era, model was like really good, but it was not doing anything special. What it was doing was, it was into the system, it was generating next token. So it can generate you a good essay, or it can generate image. So it was doing into some software only. So if you ask model some real life things like, okay, what is the current weather, model will not be able to tell you, because it was not trained on I mean, it's not possible even if it was trained on your weather data, but model was no way to know what is your current weather, right? So in 2024, when Anthropic launched their released their MCP protocol, like, and that's where make like things standard. Basically, it's provided interface. Now people can expose their tools to LLM to call. So if you see what MCP is in a shorter form, it is simply like API for agent, like a very simple word. So what happening is like people start exposing their API to agent, and now after that, agent can start doing real work. For example, if I'm asking what is weather right now, so LLM can just call the weather service API and say, okay, temperature is this much. Or I can ask LLM to book a ticket for me, ask LLM to do some order for me. Or after that, like if you see the more new advanced thing, like Devins came, Claude Code came, because now LLM can run on your system, and it can basically call your file system MCP to read your code. So see like how beautiful it is. It's basically reading your code, and then LLM know what next code to predict, and then basically it give you the response, and again writing into your local. And then also if you see a lot of debugging things happen. How? Because we start exposing MCP for like multiple internal tools, or engineering tools. They start exposing their MCP, which LLM can call and fetch the logs, update the tickets, and do like bunch of amazing things with this. So this was like the time when LLM become agent, right? So you see, you can ask like what is the difference between LLM and the agent. The only difference between LLM and agents is like okay, so generic definition, like what is the agent? Agent means something which do something. For example, travel agent, book your ticket. We have Sege agent, or we have like an insurance agent, like we do your insurance, right? Same way, when LLM start doing actual things, then LLM become agents. So this is like a very simple definitions. We'll talk about that later, right? So next thing is the once next thing like in 2025 came was context engineering, right? So the problem happening like when before that was like we start giving LLM so much information, like people just write their whole upload their whole doc to LLM, and LLM start processing it, and suddenly it get choked, right? So that was one of the bottleneck. So next things where we focus on, can we do something, can we put some system around the LLM which can process all the user query and everything, and give LLM the minimum all the information which needed, like the valuable information. That's called like context engineering. And if you see the company which is like kind of building their whole product on it, if you know about Perplexity, right? What they do is like they build this context engineering system like retrieval mechanism. So they are very good into like if you want to do some research, or if you want to do some searching, they are really good because they build their context engineering around that. Cloud Code is really good because it build their context before sending to the model of all your code. It has a better context to manage it, to compress it, and only send what's actually needed, right? So there is much advancements happening here, and like a lot of engineering going on. But one thing you might notice here, LLM was there from before, and then we still have kind of same capability, but suddenly we start seeing magic currently, and this magic is engineering magic. When we start putting engineering with the LLM, the magic started. So if you see all the fine tuning, our tools calling, all the context engineering, everything is engineering. So we can see like how much effort and how much scope we are talking about. If you see like the system, your current system, like you are a user, and then you are querying LLM something from like suppose like IDE we are using. So we are putting some local information or your specific information about your workspace, or calling your DB to if we set up that to get more local context. And then when we have that context, we are calling LLM engine, which is getting processing it, generating the response, and returning it back. So if you see here, every arrow we are seeing here is engineering. So it is not only just like LLM part. So if you see, we are putting that with engineering and what the magic is happening. So there is a lot of engineering actually happening. And when I say engineering, I will say like software engineering. So our job is basically making AI better. Yeah, so let's talk about like how we will survive the next era, and what is the expected from a good engineer, or who will do better for next decade. So I will say there will be three pillar of it. First is product vision. So now a good engineer need not only know about the software engineering, they also need to know about the product they are working on. They need to know about what is the vision going on. They need to work with the customer. They need to know into end what they are building. They are not just getting requirement from the PM and writing code. So that's need to be changed. And next thing is system architecture. They also need to know about overall system architecture, how our system is working, what are the components, and they need to completely understand like everything on that part. And next thing came is AI orchestration. So basically we are putting AI everywhere, and if you see, that's kind of craze right now. In every product they are putting AI. So we cannot ignore it. That is here, and this is something which is going to be here. So we need to learn how to orchestrate AI, how to put this into our system in a safer way, in a better way, so that we can make it make overall product nicer, right? So if you see, all these three were there from a long time, like product vision, like PM was doing, system architecture, like senior SD or like architect was doing, and AI orchestration was also there. So they were existing in like individual from a long time. So what changed right now? This all needs to become under one head. So that is something which is changing, right? So you are the architect, right? System is cheap, so now architecture is invaluable. So what I'm hinting here is we need to move to our architecture more than actually the code. So, but in this new era, the hard part is not about the framework; it's about the thinking, right? So if you see most of the tutorial right now which I look upon is very simple, like they say like or very specific. They say like how to call like cloud API or how to do a specific thing, but they skip like the reasoning behind it, like why to use that, why to not use that. There is nothing out there. And the real production things teach you more lesson than prototype is doing. So right now what people are doing is just build a YouTube clone, build a Tinder clone, build a this clone, but that's like a fake application. That's not something which is having any real value. And to be honest, if you try that in real value, it will crash in thousand way, right? So it just give you like false sense of achievement that something is working, but it's not, right? And one more important thing right now is everyone is building agent for anything. So there is a push like build agent, but the important part is knowing when not to build agent. And even Anthropic said in their research paper, you don't need to build agent always. A lot of time you can solve with simple workflows. So it's not about just building agent, it's also knowing that when not to build agent, right? So one more thing I observed, like what were the information right now available on all this topic are very scattered across multiple research papers, multiple blogs, but there is no one structured course or one structured things currently available in open where like engineers can learn from or think from, right? So this is a big challenge in front of us for right now. One thing worth noting is AI is an amplifier. So if you see like if you're a strong engineer, AI will make you stronger. But if your fundamentals are weak, you will struggle to do things with AI. I mean, AI might fool you because AI do a lot of shortcuts. AI just you will not be like that productive with the AI, right? So that's why like I spend a real time on reasoning rather than just learning about the framework. I will say we should spend more time on the reasoning. We should know more time on the judgment, like what is why when we are building something, why we are building it, and what is the logic behind it, what is the option we have, and which one to choose, right? So keep all these things in a mind. I'm introducing a course on this, which I'm building from a couple of months, like Agentic System Design, because I searched and there was no such structured path available. So I'm building this course. It will be a structured path for designing and building production get agentic system. So it's not about just I'm going to build some clone. It will be more about how to build a production grade system with everything in place. And this will be a structured. So every course will every chapter will be like one step after one step, so that we can understand that how this progression is going, not just like random concept drop. And the same way it is like a research backed. I have read at least like 20-30 of research papers and multiple blogs, and then based on that after that I'm designing this course. And yeah, it will build on AWS, so we will also deploy the agents on the cloud, and it will be a real code. We are not going to just teach theory, we will walk through and build something real. And then at the end it will be reasoning first. So it's the goal of this is not just building something. Goal of this is to learn how to think, learn how to take decision, like at the point how to take judgment, what option we have, what is the best way of doing things. It's more about putting my mental model in front of you, so that you know at every stage how to think, how to proceed with a proper pro and cons, and how to take decisions. So this will be the main core agenda or core motto of this course will be look like. Okay, so question I will walk through, just to give a quick preview. So first of all, there will be two part. Like initially there will be 5-6 lecture which will be just theoretical. I know I said like I will build a real course on coding, and then why theory, because I believe okay, just a disclaimer, we are not going to build LLM or Gen AI system because that ship is sailed. Anthropic, Google, and they are doing really well. so I will leave up to them. So we will not put our brains on actually building LLM. Main about like building agents using that LLM, but still initial 5-6 lecture will be knowing about the LLM, knowing about their journey, how they become what they are right now, because that is important when you are designing a system, when you are engineering on something. You should know the history. That's why like it will be like what is the LLM actually doing, like what is the LLM, and then if you see how can make it think harder, or basically how can you can give the knowledge it's not trained on, right? And how can you give it hands, like how can you give you the custom tools to LLM to operate on, right? So these are the questions. And what's make a real agent, so how the transformation from LLM to agent look like. So this is a kind of little theory heavy, but I think very important to understand it. If we want to really design a better system, it's better to understand the theoretical part. Next part, we will build one agentic system which will actually work. And when I say we'll build, it will be a quite long lectures where I will talk about how to deploy, basically how to build system, how to make sure they are what is the problem we need to tackle, how to make better observability. We'll focus on the security because this is one of the worst, one of the biggest concern I will say in currently this era is security, because LLMs are pretty much unsecured. So we need to I will very much focus on like building a secure agent, how to build an affordable one, and then at the end like how we will deploy it into the production, like in a proper way, how will run it, how will we monitor it. So all those things will come on the other parts, and it is going to be very interesting. Mostly we'll talk about how we are taking decisions, what options we have, and this is not specific on any specific any special framework like using chat gpt or using clouds or Gemini. No, this is more about like a higher level thinking about the agentic system, so that in the future, no matter how fast things are coming, we can still scale ourselves. We can build on any models, any company building, any infrastructure. We don't care, because we will learn about the thinking behind it, right? So if you are here, if you like was still here, thanks for it. So thanks for the watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe, because I'm going to put a lot of effort, and I'm very much confident that this is going to have a real value in your life. So yeah, please do. See you into the next episode. Thank you.